As you know, tonight, for the first time as our Commander-in-Chief, the nearly 80-year-old President Joe Biden will enter the House of Representatives chamber to deliver his first State of the Union address. While all of Washington is very excited about this momentous quasi-monarchical event, is anybody going to watch? Well, not really. According to the CBS YouGov poll released this morning, about 47% of Democrats plan on watching the State of the Union, 26% of independents will watch, and 20% of Republicans plan on tuning in. I guess just to hate watch and chant "Let's Go Brandon" at their TVs? Who knows? But for the slice of Americans who are going to tune in tonight, what do they want to hear about? Again, according to the CBS News and YouGov poll, 73% of them want to hear about Russia-Ukraine. That's going to take up a lot of the time. 67% about the economy, 61% inflation, and 52% about COVID. Now, President Biden is entering this speech with his back against the wall because he is underwater on every single issue, according to the same poll. Below 40% on every issue except for his handling of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. He trails 61 to 39 on crime in American cities. 62 to 38 disapprove of his handling of the economy. 63% of people disapprove of his handling of the immigration issue. I don't trust numbers on immigration on polls like this. It means a whole bunch of different things. But the big one, 70% disapprove of his handling of the inflation. In terms of people's ability to pay for things, way more concern than confidence on the part of the American people. Their ability to pay off their debt, pay for food, pay for electricity. Some of these numbers are within the margin of error, but you get the idea. President Biden's monthly approval rating, now these are the big numbers, was at 62% last March. Stimulus checks had gone out, the child tax credit was about to roll into effect, and COVID seemed to be on the wane. The new variants hadn't hit yet, and most people were done with the pandemic anyway. At some points during the last year, he's even had lower approval ratings than President Trump at the same point in his term. Last summer, his numbers just completely fell off a cliff. He got hit with a lot of bad press after he correctly, in my opinion, pulled out of Afghanistan. But inflation then started to rise and new COVID variants began to hit as the weather got colder. New COVID numbers began to spike. Savings in people's bank accounts went back down to zero. And kids are still, to this day, getting pulled out of school after having interacted with somebody who was tested positive for COVID. It feels like nuclear war could be on the table for the first time in decades. In terms of the economic condition of the country, 63% of the people say that the economic condition of the country is bad. Only 30% say that the country is in good economic shape. And this, to me, is the most absolutely shocking number of them all. When asked in the CBS News YouGov poll released today, if things were going well, only 32% of Americans said that they think things in the country are going well. 68% say that they aren't. And of those, 36% of them say things are going, quote, very badly. You see, the way I see it, President Biden had a chance last year to make a tangible difference in people's lives. He and the Democrats have simply failed. For most Americans, life has been really hard for a very, very long time. Our rural communities and blue-collar towns have been hollowed out. They continue to see their jobs disappear, and their deaths of despair continue to skyrocket. You know we now lose over 100,000 people a year to drug overdoses? From April 2020 to April 2021, we lost over 100,000 people to drug overdoses. Fentanyl was the number one cause of all of those in the exact pockets of the country where you would expect it to be. A majority of Americans are one blown tire, or even worse yet, a broken leg away from bankruptcy. And President Biden is going to talk tonight about the promise of tomorrow. He's going to say the same old crap presidents of both parties have always said about how America has turned the corner and the economy is booming. Just look at the stock market. Our quarterly GDP has taken off. Don't you feel it? Not only do Americans not believe him when he says it, they know it's a flat-out lie. Polling now indicates that the American people plan on throwing all the Democrats out of Washington this November, giving both houses of Congress back to the Republican Party, who, to their credit, are at least up front about their refusal to govern, and we'll do this song and dance all over again in 2024 after absolutely nothing changes, and people's lives continue to get worse. All the while, the state of our union is frustrated, exhausted, divided, and desperate. And if you're not careful, you might just be desperate enough to throw the same desperate Hail Mary it threw back in 2016.
What do you have to lose by trying something new like Trump? What do you have to lose?
Thank you so much for supporting the show. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Be sure you hit the bell so you'll get notified as soon as our show drops, and you'll never miss any of our videos.